another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good now that I'm doing the podcast. It's been a day.
Yes, it has been a day. Yes. That is very true.
We're at 100 episodes. This is our 100th.
This is our 100th. Who would have ever thought we would make it this far?
Not me.
I would have never thought.
No, but we've been doing this over a year now. And This is our 100th show.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I'm impressed. Yeah.
Me too. You know what I mean? It's like
we're on a mission from God.
It's like amazing. You know what I mean? So
well, when you told me that the average podcast is like 7 episodes, I thought, oh, okay. Well, I wonder how many we'll do. I had no idea we'd be at 100. And it's your birthday. So happy birthday.
I know. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty amazing because I thought like at around 20, I remember at 20, I was like, man, we've made it 20 episodes. That's pretty crazy. So that we've made it to 100 seems like just insane. A crazy thing.
Very and thank you all for listening. The people that are currently listening and have been since the beginning.
Yes,
thank you for
the avid ones, the avid listeners.
Yeah, I was texting with a friend today, and she's like, I go, what do you? She said, guess what I'm doing? And I said, I don't know what. And she sent me a picture of our the episode that we did last week. I guess she was listening to that when I was texting her. I'm all, hey, thanks. Like, that was cool. I wasn't expecting that either. So
it is interesting cool. When you get that that quick response. Like people are actually listening to it and they're like, hey, I listened to it today. And you're like, oh, okay. How was it? Or they go, oh, it was a really good episode, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I have an old boyfriend from way back in the day. He listens to apparently most, if not all of the episodes. And he sent me a text last week. He goes, hey, I listened to your episode. He goes, I liked it. And I was like, hey, thanks. I hadn't, it's funny because I don't think about it on the day to day. You know, we do our recording and then you do more than I do with it. Like you said, I'm just the talent. So
you're just the talent. You're just the talent.
I just show up and talk. So, I wasn't really thinking about it, but I love hearing that somebody's listened. And I love when they have an opinion, whether, some people tell me you talk too fast. Some people say you sounded really sexual or flirty. I'm like, I didn't see any of that, but okay. I like to hear what everybody else has to say. So thank you guys for letting me know that you're listening, and thank you all for listening.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. So check out our socials real quick: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check us out on all the platforms. Subscribe or follow, and it is free. So just click on it, and you get to hear us every Wednesday. This week on our 100th episode, we kind of talked off the air one time about what we wanted to talk about. And one of these kind of came up where it's like dating these days, like how quickly do you have sex? Or how quick do people assume that that's going to happen? And for me, it's like I don't date much. So I have dated in the last year, but mostly one and dones, just dinners. I talked to one girl.
You're not screwing them on the first night?
No, that's definitely not my thing.
Right.
I need to actually understand people before I can ever get down that road.
Do you ever really understand people though? Come on.
I mean, no, but I think that there's a close, if you're in the 90 percentile of knowing someone, look, there's always going to be something someone doesn't want to tell you for whatever reason, or it just never comes up. Like some things don't come up in conversation. I'm kind of crazy about it because I like to grill people. Because I talk. So like I'm always down to talk about anything. Like I want to know if you're damaged. It's okay because it's okay to be damaged. No, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think we're all broken a little bit, mostly at our age. I think once you get into this age period, you're broken and you're held together by glue and tape and sawdust and whatever else it is. And I think you're okay. But you're definitely not 20 and haven't experienced the world yet. And I think that is what kind of, that breaks you. The world breaks you,
I don't think the world breaks you. I don't feel broken. I feel like I did some things that probably weren't the smartest idea. I've done things that have taught me a lot more than what I thought I needed to know. I don't know though that I feel broken.
See, I think we're all broken to some degree, and that it's okay to be broken. Because look, we all have walked down these really wild roads or been on these. And I'm lucky. Like, I don't think I've done anything too crazy, but I think that I understand that I have my own issues. Maybe that's what I mean by broken. But I think when it comes to knowing someone, you should know them before you sleep with them. Myself, I think that it's just a better idea. Get to know who this person is before you do something super intimate.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if your long-term goal is a relationship, because obviously if you're just out there, going around, sleeping around, and that's what you're looking for, I think that that's okay if that's what you're looking for. But if you're looking for a relationship, you definitely need to try to understand who the person is.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that.
But I would guess, at least from the female side, it's probably pushed way quicker to have sex than it is being a male. Women aren't pushing as much. I've had one person do it. Actually, I've had two people do it. One many, many years ago when I was still living in Cam. I went on a couple of dates with this one girl. She was nice, kind of cool, but she was the one that was on the online dating podcast we did, where I said it was just freaky, and called me on a Sunday and told me to come over to her house and stay the night. And she was like, I don't want to sleep with you. And I was like, look, there's no other reason to go over there. And then I dated someone else a couple of times, went out for food, talked a little bit, and under the guise of alcohol, said a bunch of things that the next day was like, yeah, I'm really sorry I said that. So even that probably wasn't, 100% true, but there was probably an in between. Do you think that it's way more pushed on women by men, like to go down the line very quickly?
Oh, yeah. Like, there is no line. It's like, let's just have sex and then we'll see if we can get to know each other.
Wow. Like,
yeah.
I don't get that. I don't really think guys are into it to stay into it, though, to be honest with you. And it could go back to how guys don't want to be in relationships because of what they'll lose or the freedom that they'll give up. I know women aren't really good to men, from what I hear, So I definitely say that in dating, you get kind of badgered a little bit to do that, or it's expected, or even if you say like, that's not what I'm into, they will still try for sure. Right.
But I'm also a pretty strong woman, so I only do what I want to do, and it doesn't matter what they want. And
right. Even if
it's
even
not
if
hard
the guys,
to get out of that situation though.
I'm sure. I'm sure the guys like pour it on though. You know what I mean? Like they throw on the sexy voice and everything. They're like, yeah, baby, hey, check it out.
I don't even think they're that cool or slick anymore. You know what I mean? No, I wish. Like, if a guy had like uber personality, he was like, yeah, baby, like, and he just like poured it on, I would at least be entertained, right? It would get him a second date,
Right.
But But no, that's not even like what happens. It's just like it's expected. I'm like, dude, we went to a taco truck. There's no effing way I'm letting you stick it in me. I don't.
Right.
Do you even know my last name? Do you even know how old I am? Like, there's like certain things I think people may want to know before they do that.
Yeah, yeah. I think that should be the norm. I'm sure that there's a limit. Like, I'm sure, and again, I'm just playing it by ear. I don't know. Most of the guys that I know aren't in the dating field. Every guy that in my work is married, with the exception of a really young kid. So they're not even in that market. But I'm going to assume that there's a certain amount of date limit that a guy will take.
I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, I don't know. But like I said, I'm a little old school, and I don't want to say old fashioned because I'm not old fashioned, but I think that there's
you like to know a last name first.
I mean, a last name, your kids, your story, what you've done in life. Like, I don't care what you do for a living, and I know that women ask that's like one of the biggest questions.
Well, for me, they don't want a loser they got to take care of, but I don't think men do either.
No, but if you ask me that right away, I'm super turned off.
Well, if you're on a dating site, though, doesn't it kind of say that before you even meet a person?
Yeah, but I think that's ambiguous, though. Like, mine would say sales. That could mean anything.
Right.
That could mean I'm a drug dealer. I mean, if you really want to go, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to be, I could
that
be
would
a guy
make for an interesting story.
Yeah, but I mean, that could mean that I just stay at home all the time and I'm a dirtbag and I sell drugs out of my house. That doesn't mean that you're in sales, but I mean, it does.
You're
for
definitely
me, though,
in sales.
Yeah, you're in sales. That's for sure. But for me, it's like, look, I understand that you want to kind of get where you're at. But like, if you're leading with, what do you do for a living? How much do you make? I'm like, nah, all right. Eat your food so I can go home.
You're right. The food seriously that I just bought with the job you're trying to see how much I make.
And I'm okay. Like, I pay for dinners. Mm-hmm. If I go out with someone, I pay for dinner. If I go out to lunch with you, I generally pay for lunch, with the exception of me and you, where, it's a business thing. We're usually discussing business. So,
well, we work that out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though? Like, for me, I generally do that. And if it's a date, I definitely do it. I just think that that's the right thing to do. And coming from how I was raised, you open up the door for her, the normal gentlemanly things is what I do. Like, if I pick you up, I open the door. That's just what I do.
That is more the exception today than the rule, especially in dating.
I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I got to tell you that when I go out on a date, if they don't do those things, like if they just can't be, if they just can't be the man in the relationship, there isn't a second date. And there certainly isn't sex. You know what I mean? You blew it.
Right. I just think that it's too bad that it's thought about so easily that it should be on the first date.
Right.
I think
if that's what you're going for, and both of you know that that's what you're going for, then all right, fine. But if you want it to have any sort of longevity, you might want to get to know the person.
Correct. To me, that's the whole thing. But assuming that the reason you're dating is you want to meet someone for your life, I want to know who you are as a human being way before, because I want my mind turned on way before I want anything else. It's so important to me that you make me think, make me wonder. Those are the things And look, don't get me wrong. Like if you want to smooch a little bit and you're feeling it, cool. But even that, I think, shouldn't go too far.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's something about that, you know, slowly taking away the layers to get to sleeping with somebody.
Right. I think too that in dating, I've noticed that people don't have any incentive to even put any effort in. And if somebody doesn't show an initiative, if they don't show that they want to put anything into it, there isn't a second date either. And there isn't sex either. You know, it's like, no, we're not. No.
Right. I mean, I like talking with people. So maybe, and I'm dense when it comes to some things. Like I don't read that sexual energy very well. I'm kind of just like oblivious to it. I'm like, hey, cool, this is a good time. Like, you know, unless it's pretty straightforward. I did, you know, and it's funny, the all the dates that I went on, there was nothing. Like some of them I'm afraid to hug people now because I don't know how. Just because I don't know how they're going to take it. Some people are so drawn back by it. Like it's like you're jumping the gun or something. Should I shake your hand? Should I give you a hug? Like, and generally, if I do give a hug, I give the old communicators kind of half hug, where I'm like, I'm embracing you, but I'm not embracing you.
Yeah.
You know, I did go to lunch with a friend last week, and she's a really good friend of mine. So like I gave her a hug, and that's how I give people that I'm comfortable with a hug. But in a date now, I just don't know how people are going to react. Most of them are from our age group because I don't want to date. I wouldn't date now. I have a very short window for dating. It's like 3 years younger and 2 years older.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to date young people at all. I've been down that road and it is horrible. There's nothing good that comes from it for me. And you know, so like we're talking maybe 47, 48, 47. So that would be like 5 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think you start missing things in common. You know what I mean? Like 3 years is like, you know, I look at like high school years, right? Where when it comes to knowing and remembering things, like, hey, do you remember this? And they're like, no, I was in junior high. And you're like, oh, or no, I was in, you know, barely going into, you know, pre-K.
Mm-hmm.
I dated a girl 20 years younger than me. Horrible. Oh my God. She was a mess.
So I get it. I dated, this guy's profile was wrong, but he looked young, but I was like, well, maybe it's an old picture or whatever. But we went out and we had a great time. He was a teacher and, he's very smart and came from a totally different world. So we had so much to talk about, you know, to bridge the gap. But I found out he was 30 years old and I was 51. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy crap, you didn't tell me you were 30.
Yeah.
You were 30. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, you didn't do that on purpose, did you? And he started laughing. He goes, no, because I didn't think you'd date me. I said, well, I wouldn't have. And we dated. Oh, we dated for a while. I mean, I had fun with him. I didn't take things super serious, but he didn't want to be super serious.
Right.
But because he was a teacher and he had a brain and he knew how to act, like he's like, I'd really like to take you on a date. And we went on a date and then he took me on another date and it just started evolving. But I got to tell you, he was much more mature than guys our age, you know, because I've gone out with a couple of guys our age and I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? Were you stuck in like a time warp and you forgot how to act and you forgot how old you were and what you should have for yourself at this point? Like, you should be established in something by the age of 52.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's a limit of, I think socially you should be at a certain level.
Right.
Men are always going to be infantile and like dick jokes. Like, well, we're always going to be like jokes, that.
So
no, but you know what I mean? Or like we're still going to be geeky over sci-fi movies or whatever it is. Some things we don't change out of, but I think you should be established in like, you take care of yourself. You got a car. You have a job. You pay your rent on time.
You have a place to live. Yeah, you're not homeless or.
Yeah, I mean, even when I moved
living
out
in rehab.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other monster. A friend of mine told me like I should get out of my last situation because like no one was going to want to date someone who lives, is renting rooms from somebody. And I kind of get that because I was like, yeah, you're right. Because and my roommate was a 34-year-old girl. Mm-hmm. So it does look weird. And for me, it was like, look, I had a good place to stay. I had a good thing going. Like, I was only paying $1,300 a month for 2 rooms and with nothing else. I didn't pay water. I didn't pay anything. So I had a great deal going. But at the end, yes, she's correct. Like, I needed to get out and show that I could be on my own again and that kind of thing. So I understand that. I just think that who you meet now is a whole other thing as well. Like, if you're meeting somebody who's just coming out of a long-term relationship, they may be set back into party mode. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, I don't want to go down that road. I don't want someone who's like every weekend's like, hey, we're going to the bar. Are we going to this where? No, we can go do things together, but I don't want to be in that situation either because that just leads to other issues.
Right.
But I think that the sex part is definitely going to be thrown in to those situations as well to get down quickly. Like when you start adding alcohol to things, that's a whole other monster as well. Like, I think the first couple of dates, if you go on dates, at least for me, if I go out on a date, I have 1 drink, nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I'm not a drinker at all. So,
but I just do it because I want to have a sober mind. Like, I want to make sure that I'm saying the right things that I mean and I'm, not getting out of control. Unless you know the person and you're going out and doing that kind of thing, I'm okay with that, but not on dates now, not first dates. There's too much to lose.
I get that.
One person says, oh, they did this and you're in prison. So I think for men as well, you have to step back and wonder about having sex with someone. Because under the guise of it was consensual, you may end up not someone else saying it wasn't because they made a mistake or, they were under the influence. So for me, I stay far away from that because the last thing I want is anything like that.
It's got to be different for a man than a woman because I don't even think about that. Like, I don't feel like anybody's going to scream rape at any given time. You know what I mean? Because I'm a female, so it's a little bit different. But I also don't do things forcefully. I don't do things that would make anybody think that. But I would imagine being a man, it doesn't matter one way or another. If a woman wants to scream it, she's going to. That would be kind of scary. I never really thought about that, to be honest with you.
Well, and let's say you've been talking with someone for quite a while. You've went out on 1 date, but you've talked about certain sexual things you're into. And let's say you're into rough sex and you're working towards these things by the time you have sex with each other, you know certain things. What's the line that you have to draw in the sand of, the one, what if she says, I want you to choke me, or, I want you to this, or I want you to that. It's a slippery slope of how far you go.
Do you do that on a first? Like, do you do that when you're first having sex? I don't know. Really?
But you could.
Damn, am I missing something?
I mean, I think you could go down that road if you've been, let's say you've gone out on 2 dates and you haven't had sex yet, but you've been talking about, like time passes and you text each other and and you're flirting and you're like, oh, are you, what do you think of this? Or what do you think of that? Or, a text like, ooh, I have handcuffs. And then there's another situation or another talking point that now goes down this different road. And you start saying, oh, well, are you into this? Or are you into that? Are you into this? So by the time sex comes, let's say you decide to have sex on date 4. What's expected? It's a
free for all. No, I'm kidding.
But for a guy, do I want to go down that road? I don't know. If I leave too many marks on her, is she going to wake up the next day and be like, I didn't want any of this?
Well, I would think that the trick is to not leave any marks on her, for one, until you are really good and sure that she's not going to be freaking out on you.
Yeah, because some girls like that too.
And I would also make sure I kept all the messages that said what she was into and what she wanted and how she wanted it and described everything as well. I think you need to be smart about it. I don't really know if, I don't know. I think that's, you just got to learn to pick somebody that you could trust. I mean, I guess that's the key point, because if you don't trust somebody, you shouldn't lay down with them in the first place. And if you don't know how they're going to react, I definitely wouldn't do it, especially if it's sexual. So you kind of got to know your place in the reality of the relationship from the get-go. But I don't know, is my experience is that guys don't care to talk about it. They just want to do it. And I get it. I get that sex is a big deal, and I get that it's important, and I get that if you're single and you've been single for a while, you want to do that. But if you don't know who you're laying down with, you don't know who you're laying down with. There could be so many, so many sex partners, so many things that could have happened, so many. And I don't like to talk about all that stuff. I don't think it's anybody's business what my past was, but you should at least know that they're a solid person. You should at least know that they're being honest about what they're talking about, or that they're being forthright with you, that, whatever you're talking about. But I think you really got to listen to your instincts too. I think that's so important. If you're going to lay down with somebody, you need to know that that person's going to be a solid person for you, or is take your time to get to know a person. I don't know if 4 dates is even enough time to get to know somebody.
No,
I don't think
agree.
it is. Like,
I don't think it is either.
Is it enough to have sex? I mean, I wouldn't pull out the handcuffs then. I mean, although handcuffs are but they're not even that bad. But I guess if you got somebody tied up and you leave them alone for a couple hours, it could be. I don't know that I would trust somebody with handcuffs if they were going to tie me up, not tie me up, but, put the cuffs on me. I'd put them on them, and good luck. If I walk out, I may not remember to come back. So you might want to wait on that until.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that, look, and it all matters what is said in between these 4 dates, obviously. How much time are you talking with each other? Are you communicating? Are you actually talking? That's another lost art. People don't talk on the telephone anymore. Or like, I would rather schedule.
I think you should talk in person if you're going to be having sex and doing crazy shit like that. I think you should.
No, I agree. But I'm saying, like, in between dates, like, everything doesn't have to be a date. I think once you have a couple of dates, it's okay to go have coffee and talk, or go out to just have dinner and go, look, let's meet for dinner and then go home afterwards and then go on a date on the weekend and go do something. Maybe I look at things different, and I haven't dated like for real in a long time. The only dates that I've gone on are dinner dates. Like I've gone out to have dinner with somebody and that is all. So I didn't even like really do like, hey, do you want to go do this or do you want to go do that? Because I think now to get to know someone or meet somebody, it's easier just to go get coffee or eat. At least that's what I have been in. But maybe I'm outside.
Oh shit! Sorry about that. I have been asked out for coffee after telling somebody I don't drink coffee. So it's like, I don't drink coffee, but I guess I'll go with you. But already I'm like, I'm not entertained by you because you didn't hear me when I said I don't drink it. I don't mind if we go and grab a coffee for you, but again, what am I going to do? Just sit there and look at you and drink water? Because that's literally what I would do. Mm-hmm. So right there, I'm already like, he didn't listen to me. Okay. And
yeah,
I don't mean to sound like I'm judging people in order to blow them off from the get-go. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is if you're wanting to date me, you should hear me because I will communicate with you. You'll know from the get where I'm at with things because I'll just tell you that's just who I am. I'm not trying to hide anything. But if you heard it and it's not what I'm into, it would benefit you to try something else.
Correct.
You might get a little bit further with me if you do that, Right.
I think that you should be able to work around that kind of thing, obviously. I mean, if you don't drink and you don't drink coffee, there's got to be something else you can do. Like, mm-hmm. Hey, do you want to go get ice cream? Do you want to go just do something where you can both sit and chat?
Right. Let's go grab sandwiches and sit in a park and just sit under a tree or something and talk. That's throw a Frisbee around. I mean, it doesn't have to be spending a shit ton of money every time you go out with somebody.
I wonder what the average answer from a girl would be, though, if you ask them, hey, do you want to just go pick something up and go to the park? And again, I'm living in the Twilight Zone, but I think that wouldn't go over very well these days.
Wouldn't go over?
Just going to pick up a sandwich and going to the park and talking.
That would totally be fun for me because that's not something that let's go out to dinner. I could buy my own dinner. I could go anywhere I want. And guess what? I won't even have to compromise. Like I could do that. But if somebody really wanted to get my attention, they would say something other than coffee or let's go to dinner. They would say, hey, I got tickets to a Dodger game, or you want to go roller skating in the park? Because I would so do that. I'd be that chick that would. And I'd really be like, there's somebody with a brain. Like he's actually trying.
Yeah, I think that's a dating thing, though. Like to me, what is something that we can both sit down and talk and still get something out of it? I think that's why dinner always works, because we all have to eat. And look, I guess I would maybe throw ice cream in there because that is something you can both go and still discuss things and be haha about it. I think the park's a great idea. I've spent a lot of time with people in a park. So I love the idea of a park. I love the idea of a park car, but maybe I think it's fun to just sit and chat with people. You're right. Everything doesn't have to be this,
it doesn't
monumentous
need to be all grandiose.
thing.
It doesn't. But it does have to be something that's going to catch my attention.
I agree, but I think a date should do that. I'm talking about some things in between these dates you've already been on, because this is where we're talking about what leads to sex. These intimate conversations in between your having dates, and I'm talking about the first date should be a date. You should take someone somewhere and have a nice time. If you're going to go on a date, take them to do something, sit down and have dinner, discuss a couple of things, take them home, and finish the night with however you want to finish it, with, a hug or a kiss. Thank you very much. Ask them on a second date if that's where you're going with it. But the conversations between dates, because if you have 1, 2, or 3 good dates, I think it's okay to go, hey, let's go meet and have a sandwich in the park.
Absolutely. Or let's go drive to the beach and get some clam chowder at the wharf and then just walk around. Cool. That to me is like, oh, somebody's saying something more than coffee or dinner. Coffee or dinner tells me you're boring.
City walk.
It really does.
Something like city walk. Or in the IE, there's a mall called Victoria Gardens. It's like this outdoor mall. It's a great place that I think if you really just wanted to walk around, see a little atmosphere, they got some cool like restaurants and bars, and they have a movie theater there, but it's an outdoor place where you could walk and just kind of sit down. They have park benches and stuff in there. Places like that where you're still discussing things, you can people watch, you can talk. These are the things that are going to lead you to a intimate relationship. When you're getting to understand these people, and you can, at least for me, it's still that, you can bump into each other, or whenever you finally hold a hand, I'm one, I love that part of it. I love holding hands. I think it's just that's the first step to intimacy. It's that first, reaction. Like when you hold someone's hand, is what's the reaction? That's how I read somebody, though. That would be that first body language. I
think for me, like what I like is when somebody just reaches over and puts their hand like on my leg, not to rub my crotch, not to like, or don't take it any further than just, put your touch me, not in that is kind of an intimate way, but not in a sexual way. It's in a very sweet way. And that goes a long way. I know that I did that to somebody and I felt like he didn't know how to act with that, but I wasn't rubbing him. I wasn't inappropriate. I did it for a few minutes and then I moved my hand. Like I tried to make it as smooth as possible because I wasn't trying to get in his pants. I wasn't trying to rub and see how big he was. Cause I know that I have had friends say that they do that to see how big his dick is. I wasn't going to do that. That was not what I was going for, but I was having a good time with him and we were joking and laughing and I just put my hand there. But I think he was a little uncomfortable. So I didn't make it uncomfortable. I didn't pull away real quick, but I waited a couple minutes and then just casually did something else so that it didn't have to feel uncomfortable to anybody.
Right. And I think that is the start of those good things.
Yeah. And, we still talk. We've gone out a couple times, but I'm not quick to do that again because I didn't get the
reaction.
Yeah.
I think that there's something to that as well. Those are the things that are going to lead you to having an intimate relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
First time you hold hands, sometimes, or first time you put your hand on their leg, or maybe at the bottom of their back, just to kind of see, I hate to say how far you can go, but it is kind of that where you're volleying, things back at each other with these small
but
things.
But they're non-sexual cues.
Correct.
And I think that's exactly what you should do. I love when somebody opens the door for me and I go to walk in and they do put their hand like on my back, not on my ass. I mean, that's for later on. I like that too.
Exactly. That's
just not at the beginning.
That's relationship things though to me.
Yeah. But I like that they're kind of guiding me in, or you're very together when somebody does that with you.
To me, it's a protective thing too.
Yes.
I know that I'm going through the door last. There's no one that's going to get you from behind me. They're going to get me first, and now you going through the door, I can be behind you. I can see the rest of the crowd that I'm in or whatever. And now I can decide if I want to take your hand and now I'm going to lead you a certain way. Like if I'm at a concert with somebody and I want to go a certain way, I will grab their hand and I'll tell them, you follow me because I'm moving and I'm moving people out of the way. You just make sure you stay right behind me and I'm going to lead, get through things. That's the leadership part of being a man, where later on they're going to understand intimately that you're going to take care of them on whatever level. To me, that's what it means.
It very much, as for a woman, for me personally, it very much defines who the man is in the relationship and who the woman is. Mm-hmm. And, we both have the genitalia, which says what it should be. But, if a guy's going through the door first and he's, I have to worry about him, I kind of got the roles reversed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to be the protector. That's what it should be. I was at a concert with somebody and I remember being in the pit with them, and they had not been in pits like mosh pits. And it wasn't crazy, but it was moving. And I remember I put my arms around her and was like, just, I got you. And there were people bouncing, coming close, and I would put my hands out to make sure she didn't get hit. And to me, that's just what you do. Like, mostly for someone who you want to be close to the band, but you don't want to be in the shit. Yeah. And those to me are moments where you're saying, like, I got you here. I'm not going to let you get hurt. Even if it's just a date, like, I think even on a simple date, it's still the man's job to be a protector. My job is to make sure you get home safe that night, regardless. If we had the worst time in the world, if we have two separate cars, I'm going to send you away in a car and I'm going to say, I'm going to check on you or text me when you get home. Whether we talk ever again doesn't matter to me. I want to make sure that you get home safe. So those are those cues of, to me, the things that are going to lead you to these intimate relationships.
So what do you think? What do you think the date? What do you think? How many dates should you have before you have sex with somebody? I don't think there's a number. It's how you feel. I think you should be able to talk to somebody, because if you're going through these cues, right, and you're doing whatever, holding hands, get here. I think once you decide to have a first kiss, and I don't mean like stick your tongue down her throat. I'm talking about a nice, soft kiss at the end of the night. From then, it's okay. We've had 4 dates or 3 dates and a kiss. Now we're going to go out again. And now you start laying the groundwork for, is she ready? At least as a man. I think you should talk to people. Like, make sure you're both in the same headspace. To me, I was with somebody before we ever had sex. She asked me to get an STD test, which I was like, all right, whatever, I'll go. I don't care. Like, I think, and these days, I think that is safe. It's really smart.
It is super smart. And I think that everyone should have that, to where if you think you're going to be intimate with somebody, make sure you're all safe. And she did the same. She had just got an STD test. These are things that, look, nobody wants to carry anything along with them. You know what I mean? I just don't want. And if you're promiscuous, before you get into this serious relationship, you should have the gonads to go get this test done and make sure that everyone's safe. Because a test doesn't cost that much, and you'll know in several days.
I think it's good just to do that anyway. If you're dating or you're single, I think it's good to, every time you have, blood work, you should ask your doctor to do all that too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that.
I do that no matter what, whether
I do too.
whether I've had sex a month ago or 2 years ago.
So listen to this. So I was still on my ex's insurance because we weren't quite divorced yet. And the paperwork came to the house because I went to the doctor and the doctor ran all the tests. And I said, hey, while you're at it, run this test too. You know, just because it's good practice.
Correct.
You know, so and I I had a conversation with him. He said, is there something we need to talk about? And I'm like, there's always something we need to talk about. What do you want to say? You know, like what? And he's like, well, I opened up your medical stuff by accident. I'm like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I saw, you know, cause it was the bill basically, you know, that we had to still pay whatever it was. And, he's like, is there something we need to talk about? And I said, no. Did it say that there was something to talk about? I mean, everything came back okay, right? And he's like, well, why are you doing that? And I said, because life goes on, you know, because I don't want to be an idiot, because life goes on, because, you know, it's the right thing to do. And I said, not that I need to tell you, but I'm still not an idiot. Like, I know, you know, I take care of myself. And he goes, no, I do. I just, you know, he goes, I shouldn't even have asked you. And I said, how do you not ask? Like, come on, that's kind of hard too.
You don't know about.
Right. But I was okay telling him. But then I thought to myself, that was dumb. If I didn't want him to know, I should have changed, you know. So it was it was an awkward conversation, but I was like, whatever.
I had done it before, like I went and got blood work done, and I said, oh yeah, you know, I want to get STD test. And they were like, you know, have you, you know, are you worried about something? I go, oh no, I'm going to be with a new partner, so I would like to have an STD test. So, you know, we're both on the same page. And they were like, oh, I was like, yeah, that's what insurance is for.
Yeah, my doctor was like, so do we need to talk? And I'm like, well, do you want to learn something you don't want to know? Or like, do you want to talk? Do you have something you want to talk to me about? Because I'm okay. I just think that this is important to make sure I'm taking care of myself. And he said, well, I'm glad you are. And we absolutely could do it. And I won't ask you any more questions. And I'm like, well, if you don't ask any more questions, I won't have to lie to you.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's how I kept it.
I think it's the right thing to do for both people. It hurts no one. Nope. And it gives other people peace of mind.
And I did this even before I was married, you know, 20 something years ago when I was single, because I was single till I was 34. I did that regularly from the time I started having sex until I got married.
I think it probably doesn't hurt that we come from the generation of AIDS.
Yeah, because that is a scary freaking beast. It was.
Yeah. So I think that we come from that. So it's probably embedded in our heads that sex kills you. You know what I mean? Like, not
that it kills you, but that it could. I mean,
no, it did then.
Right. Well, not everybody. You just had to be careful, because I remember back in the day, and all of anybody that I was with way back in the day, they'll tell you Tina did not have sex without a condom. I was like, if you want to have sex with me and you're dating me and we're together, put on a condom. If not, we're not going to be dating. You're not going to be doing anything. But then it was also scary too, because oral sex, you cannot protect yourself completely against oral sex unless you're using dental dams and you're blowing the guy with a condom on, which I don't know about you, but I'm not a latex sort of taste person, you know that. So to me, it's like,
I don't know about that.
Well, let me tell you. No.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not great.
It's not. So you have to trust who you're with, and you have to believe in the person that you're going to lay down with, because that is a very intimate thing. I remember when I met my ex, we messed around, but we did not have sex for like 3 months. I was like, I don't know if I like you enough to do that. So let's take some time. And he was like, I'm totally cool with that. So we did. And then we ended up being together for 20 plus years. And I think he respected that.
Yeah.
But
I think that there's a lot to that.
Yeah. It's hard to lay down with somebody you don't know.
Right. I want to know the person on a personal level. So my head and my body are in the same game.
Right.
And once I am so comfortable with that person on every level, I think it makes that part of it way better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something to that. I think today it's very, very sad that it's wanted so quickly. I mean, it's
always been wanted quickly. We just didn't act on it like we were apes. You know what I mean? Like we took time to get to know a person.
I guess I've always have done that. Maybe I just was never like that. I never jumped in. I mean, I've had 2 one-night stands in my whole life. And one of them I would have loved to continue because I knew them. But, you know, I was in my early 20s. I just wasn't in the right position of like she lived far away and I lived in the valley. It was my best friend's girlfriend's best friend. So it probably would have turned bad anyway. And the funny thing is she ended up becoming a stripper.
You've always had a thing for them. No.
Yeah. And here's the funny thing.
You don't go looking for it either.
And I've never been to a strip club ever in my whole life.
You want to go? I'll take you.
No, I told you. Here's my problem. I told you before though, like to me, they're carny.
You can't touch them. Yeah.
It's carny. They're selling you some shit that's not real. And I don't get that part. So I mean, I guess
it's not real, but you just go to have fun. I remember I took my 2 cousins once and I went and got a bunch of money, like cash, and I just threw it at them. And it was more it was for fun. They were embarrassed because they were with me, but I was like, just have fun, just hoot and holler and have a good time. It doesn't have to be a big deal. So if you ever want to go, I'm that chick.
I told someone that I would go with them before who I was intimate with. Unfortunately, we never got down that road, but I would probably go with somebody that I was dating and that look, there has to be that could
go bad though.
That's what I mean though. And I'm not really, I think that's why another reason I would stay away from it. Look, if you could have fun. It has to be, you have to know who you're going with and you have to understand that it's short term, get in, have some fun, and go home and bang one out. The whole point should be is that you're going there to get aroused for each other, watching each other, and then go out to the car and bang one out in the back seat and then go home or whatever the hell you're going to do.
Dirty. No.
Yeah. Oh, you got to love cars. I love cars.
Right?
Cars
Who
can be fun.
Like vehicular sex.
Yeah. Cars can be interesting. I told you the park story. That was one of my favorites. I just think that, you know, we had the online dating, the one where we had some guests on and the girls were just talking about how quick guys send dick pictures and sex is just so it's funny. My friend down the street that I'm, you know, I like, she's told me really early, please don't send me any dick pictures. And so in my head, because of my sense of humor, I sent her a picture of Dick Clark with both thumbs up like this. And she was like, and it was funny because I think she got the giggle. She got the humor. Like it was funny. I'm like, I go, look, I got to send you at least one. And I sent her that and she's like, okay, that'll work. Those are the things that I think show who you are as a person. Like, right. I got it. Don't do this. Because when we had the girls on that were talking, I was just like, I felt bad as a dude. I was like, holy shit, we're horrible human beings. And sex should mean something. It really should.
Yeah, it should. But I think that women are just as equally as bad as men are in that we're not good people to each other. We need to start, like, if you want to date somebody, like put some effort into it on both ends.
For sure.
You know, get to a place where a man could feel comfortable, because I think part of the reason men send a dick pic is because they're not comfortable and they don't know where they stand with you or where they're at. I think that if I don't want to see a dick pic, I don't want to see a vagina pic either, though, to be honest with you. I'm like, I'm okay to not see pictures of certain things. Those would be two.
Right.
But on the other hand, it's like, I think that it's just an awkward thing, and men are trying to figure out how a woman is going to be. And if she gets pissed off at a dick pic, they're like, oh, I'm never going to get laid. And ultimately, I think that right now that's what guys are wanting. If they're single, they're wanting to get laid. And if they catch feelings, then they catch feelings. But I don't think that I don't think they're looking for that. I think they're looking to get laid. And they're looking for somebody that won't be a frigid bitch and will screw them.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, if you start out, date one.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go with that. You know what I mean?
There's nowhere to go.
No, you just are in a situation and women will catch feelings. And what if you don't want to be with that woman? What if you find out she's a big asshole? Like, who you don't want to see her again, but you boned her. So now she's going to be, calling you and bugging you. Like, take your time.
Yeah.
Sex will always, you could always find places to have sex. And if you're smart and you're smooth about it, you don't even need to worry about it.
I think just learn someone enough to have sex with them. And whatever your time period is. And also, on both sides, don't be afraid to say something like, hey, we're getting to a good spot. And, I'm not trying to push this on you, but, is it something you're thinking about? Something to, I don't know how the wording would be, but I think it's something like, hey, I would, I want to be intimate with you, more than we have. And if someone says, I'm not ready for that yet, go, okay, cool. I still want to date you. Just if we get to this part, say something. It's hard, I think, for a guy, because again, there has to be more to a woman than sex. At least for me, like I would get bored out of my mind. Like if you can't communicate with me, if I say words, some bigger words, and you don't get them, I'm going to be like, oh, fuck, it's one of these, like.
Should I do that all the time? My friend just said the other day, she's like, talking to you is kind of confusing because you use words all the time that I don't know what they mean. I'm like, then stop me, ask me what I'm saying, and I'll find a different way to say it to you so that you're learning. I don't have to, I don't have to worry that I'm offending you. Like, I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but I like to talk, I like that.
And I use some bigger words. And if you don't know what the word is, just tell me, and I'll go, oh, this is what it means. I said something. I don't even remember what the word I used at work today, but I said something. And the guy who sits next to me is like, what does that mean? I said this. And he goes, oh, all right. He goes, never heard that one before. I'm like, all right. But
I said that something was gelatinous the other day, and everybody was like, wait, what?
Nice.
And I'm like, you don't know what gelatinous is?
Gelatinous.
It's like it's got a jelly type consistency to it.
It's like custard.
More like boba. I was thinking boba. It was like a slimy-ish. Yeah, something like that. And they're like, oh, that's what it means. Why didn't you just say that? I'm like, I did.
I did. I said gelatinous. No, I think there's something to that. Like, I hate to be like, because I've got through this thing, I think, without saying the F word, but fuck my mind first. That I'm telling you, I love that shit. Please talk to me. If you talk to me and we hit it off, and I would rather love you for your mind than love you for your body.
And for me, if you get to know me on any level and you let me just get comfortable, so, get to know me and I get to know you, the sex is going to be so much better because I'm going to not be worrying about everything that we didn't talk about. I'm not going to be worrying about, what your likes or dislikes are, because I'm going to have time to get to know you. And even if we don't ever talk about sex, which I don't like to talk about it, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't, don't say, are you into this? Are you into that? If you get to know me, you'll know exactly what I'm into because of the personality type that I am.
Well, and once you get past that first plateau, then you do talk about other things.
Then you find out how messed up somebody really is.
Yeah. I mean, how freaky somebody is.
Right.
Which, look, and there's your parachute.
Mm-hmm.
If, obviously, if you're super vanilla, it's going to come out quite quickly. The first sexual experience you shouldn't be tying people up. That's a bit much.
You're no fun. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, maybe I'm just realistic,
You're no fun.
But I think that if you have a good time and look, there's a lot of things that can make sex bad. A bad kisser,
kiss of death
could take you down a highway. And on the flip side of that, a great kisser can make someone that is a 7 make them a 12, or if they're a 10 make them a 20. There's people that I've kissed that I could kiss for the rest of my life. It was that good. There was just some kind of connection with that, and that can lead you down to many other things. So my thing is, don't be in a hurry. Maybe that's the whole part of this, to at least me, this conversation is really don't be in a hurry. There's so much more to a person than their body and sex. They walk hand in hand. I think a healthy relationship has sex and has full transparency. Like there's something you should feel comfortable naked in front of someone. Once you get to a point where you're walking around the house naked and you to go get water after sex and you bring it back and you're both chugging it and it's running down the fronts of both of you and you're giggling and out of breath, that's how you're with somebody you want to be with. Mm-hmm. Where it's just everything is free and you can lay and talk in bed naked and not look for your underwear. Because you're like, whatever, I don't care. You've seen my junk already. We're good.
Your junk. It just sounds so weird.
You see your junk. But I think there's just something to that part. Don't be in a hurry. There should be no certain amount of dates. And if you're looking on date 1 to have sex, your recipe for disaster for that relationship is probably bad.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And you're missing some really fun stuff too.
Yeah. You're missing the experience of being around somebody and seeing the small things that are either going to make you fall for them or make you run.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, there's nothing worse than getting in, having sex with somebody very quickly and then going, man, I can't stand the way he chews.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Or I hate that he taps his fingers all the time on the table, or he has this twitch about him that there's always those things. And again, I overlook a lot of things. There's too many things that are important to worry about these small things. I'm more worried about the major red flags. Are you throwing fists with me? Are you screaming at the top of your lungs every time we have a problem? Are you, stomping off mad every time we get in an argument and you're leaving me alone in the restaurant? There's bigger problems. I want to know that I can be a solid person in your life and be able to take criticism and talk about it. So your sex life at home is much better long run.
Yep.
I'm not one for makeup sex either. I'd rather not ever get in a fight. Let's just have sex.
Right. I'm with you on that. But I think that the more you know a person, the more you know what makes them tick. Not even if you don't even need to talk on a sexual level. You just need to talk. Once you know what a person's like, then you have some idea of where you go from there. And I think that it's so important to take the steps, because once you hit the point where you're having sex, you can't go back. You're in a way different situation than you were when you were just dating, and dating's kind of fun. I mean, it should be, if you're doing it right. If you could be yourself and they could be themselves and you could just talk and have a good time. Like, it's so fun to just be with a person, and that anticipation that it could happen or it's going to happen, or will it happen maybe today, or maybe it'll be tomorrow. Like, that's the fun stuff. And you don't get that back once you start having sex. Then it's a whole different relationship. And really, you should take the time to just get to know somebody, because those steps are so much fun. They really are. I
agree. I think they're the building blocks to a healthy sexual relationship.
And you know who that person is to know how they're going to be when they're in bed with you.
Yeah, you know them from the inside outward.
And I think that's way better than not.
Yeah. Then you end up having like fun sex at like other people's houses in the bathroom because she's got a sundress on and you lose your shit over it, or that kind of fun stuff. That's when things get exciting. Yes, it is another show.
It is another show. And speaking of which, we've gone way over on our time.
Good stuff. It's a Hunter show. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good stuff. I think we've hit a lot of good points in this one. We should be happy about what we've done. We've hit our 100th show. And I think that there's going to be a lot more. But this one is coming to an end. Make sure to check out our social medias, all that fun stuff. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Go to wherever you listen to these podcasts and subscribe for free or follow for free, because we like giving our show away. And just thanks a lot. It's been a fun 100, and we're definitely going to have more things to talk about and more fun. Anything you'd like to say, Miss Tina?
Just thank you for listening. Can't wait to bring you next week's.
And this is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Make sure you come back every Wednesday. Listen to these two crazy people talk about their fun stories and interesting people we know in our lives. And Tina, we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.